you're going. Yeah. And they have kids that they always follow around, you know. Let me check my notes. Jennifer Joseph is doing a solo. Oh, there she is. Yes. Do-do-do-do-do, you know, that's good stuff. Come right on in. Have a sit down. We will do the collections right smartly, so take your seats. Okay, so we are here to promote, research, preserve, disseminate, and interpret information about Black life, history, and culture. That's what we do. Now, hold on one second. I'm going to turn on the recorder. Does anyone object? Thank you. No one did. Now, where are the singers? Okay. Please stand up, Fran, and keep us on pitch. Are there any other singers? Come right on down. Come right on down. Everyone has a, okay. Please. Sing, fill earth and heaven, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughters. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Good stuff. Oh, shut now. Okay, so good morning, all. Welcome to our general membership meeting. Everyone looks really freshened and ready to get to the business of the day, but we have a treat coming up a little later, a moment in history we're going to put after the business piece so that, you know, people who are just raring at the bit, you know, like Monique Tolliver, she just loves to come down here and present. I mean, she said, Harold, you don't know how good it feels. And anyway, she said, Harold, don't do that. Okay, so our Vice President, David Wilkins, is not here. Our Executive Secretary, Jada Wright Green, is not here. She's doing a tabling with the, I forget the name of the organization. Okay, which that's where she is, yeah. At the Selby Library. Okay, so we are moving right down. I don't see our membership. This is going really well. Record time, yeah. This is going very well. So, a treasurer's report. Monique, come on down. Monique Toller. Yeah.
These are the financials through February 28th, 2025. The February 28th bank balance, which consists of the general account, the Freedom School, and a CD, totals $355,915. We have an agency fund endowment balance of $25,882, a scholarship fund endowment balance of $130,803. February funds received, we received funds for donations and grants, membership dues, scholarship, and the Randy Rankin fundraising income. Total funds received in the month of February, $5,371. February expenses, we had expenses in project management, scholarship, local community initiatives, Freedom School, membership dues, and general operating expenses totaling $30,578. Are there any questions? The details of the financial report were sent to you via email.
Okay. Do I hear a motion out there? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions out there about this? No? Okay. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you very much. Our financial secretary's report. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. That's okay. Good morning, everyone. The Financial Secretary report for February 2025 was sent to you in the mail, so you have your details. But total receipts that the Financial Secretary received was $6,740.93 for the general account. The Freedom School account, we received $1,000. And I just want to add, you also received the PayPal transactions, and that was a total of $2,985.93, and it's broken down for you in the report you received. Are there any questions? Questions? Back to you.
Thank you so very much. Can I get a motion? It's been seconded. Any questions? All in favor? Those opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Now I'm going to call on the tall one from the D.C. area, Mike Weddle. Dr. Mike Weddle. There's a difference.
Thank you, Counselor. Good morning. Well, I like the library, but this is really nice. A few quick things, just when we're done here today, that is not the exit. The exit is back here because there are refreshments set up. Thank you, Cheryl Coleman. Thank you, Dee McTeer. And so there's a time of conversation and fellowship in the fellowship hall when we're all done, so just to be aware of that. One quick announcement, we did have our video presentation on Ira Aldridge, the African-American star of the European stage during the 19th century. It was done by Barbara Williams, and thank you to Harriet Hobson for helping set that up. It is now up and archived on the website, so if you weren't able to see it, it is there. It's still under, even though we don't have a Black History Month program per se anymore, under programs on the website, go to Beyond Black History Month videos, and that's where this program from last week is archived, okay? And the last thing I want to remind everyone, that on Monday evening, our new ASALH National President, Carsonia Wise Whitehead, is going to have an all-members call, you should have received an email. Countdown was the email subject, and that's going to start at 7:30. And you know, I love being in an association of all historians because her announcement of the call starts, in 50 BC, Julius Caesar brought his army across the Rubicon into Roman territory. So it's an hour and a half. I think it's going to cover a lot of territory. But the name of the subject for the call is the fierce urgency of now. And I think what she really is addressing is the attack on African American life and history and American history going on from the Washington regime right now, and how ASALH can be part of the response to that. And I think one of the subtexts is that if anyone gets young people involved with ASALH, it may be the way that we respond to our history that's going on right now. So if you can be part of that call, I think every member is invited. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for Mike? Okay. Harriet Cowan, please come forward. And bend our ear.
Good
Good morning, everyone. Okay, it's so great to see everybody. We are in the second phase of our application process, interviews, and we have more than ever. So we have 31 applicants that we're interviewing this week, 2 more sessions. We are taking time with each student, a half hour, 20 minutes to 30 minutes with each student to really get to know them. And it's just a fabulous experience. And so they really are, I'd say the majority of them out of the 31 are receiving public assistance. They're being raised by a single parent. There are a lot of family problems with some of these students, but they have the best spirit ever. And they are just a delight to, and more young men than ever before. Really, they dressed up in their suits, polished shoes, went around and shook our hands. I mean, it was just really a great experience. And so we are really thrilled to be doing this. They not only, with their problems and the low income and all, they are achieving so much. I think I counted 3 out of the 31 who had less than a 4.0 GPA. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're just really very successful, also with their community service, and they have been on the superintendent's panel, representing their school, student government, and on and on and on. So it's really great to see. So the problem is, and the challenge is, what do we do with the limited funds? That's the problem, to try to help all of these students. We can't help all of them. So it's a really highly selective process that we're going through, and we're trying our best. And so it takes a village. We're asking for your support, as you always have. We thank you in advance for all the support that you're giving and have given. And so we appreciate you. Thank you. Is there a dress code, this young man asked. And I said, no, that's fine. You can come casually. We're casual here. But he came dressed with a suit, a tie, white shirt, and the others did. I think only one came with regular school clothes, but it was just really, and the young ladies, they were all dressed. We commented on one young lady's purse. We wanted that purse ourselves. I mean, they were dressed. It was really delightful. Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Some of the counselors are helping to let them know this is what you do when you go for an interview, whether it be for a scholarship or a job. That's right.
Do you have a suggested deadline for donations to be able to get under the wire with this wonderful group of young people?
Well, the Randy Rankin is our main way, to get these funds. And so they have it on the website, April 1st. To register for, the golfing. By the way, a hole-in-one, you get a car. So if you're golfing, don't forget that. So yeah, I mean, it's up until the end of April. That's when we really see the money that we can deal with. So by the end of April, and then our award ceremony is May 24th. To finally decide, that we can give whatever money we can. But, just keep sending the money. There's no limit. Thank you.
What a promoter of scholarship. I'm telling you, every time I hear her speak, I say, Harriet, just talk as long as you want, because she's talking good stuff about our students, about our future. And I don't know where she gets it from, but wherever you get this momentum, please continue. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of enthusiasm, for sure. For a good cause, yes. Arts and Culture Committee, Paul Tallroth, I think I saw here. Did he? Oh, there he is over there. He always comes in from the wing. That's his preference. And, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Counselor. Dr. Weedle. I just want to tell Harriet, she's a tough act to follow. You know. I had a 4-point average, too, in high school. But the highest score on the team averaged 20 points. We're not talking basketball. Okay. Thank you for putting up with me today. I have no slideshow, but I did want to remind you of a few events going on in the arts and culture world in which we, the ASALH members, are intimately involved. First is West Coast Black Theater, still going strong. 5 guys named Mo, so check them out. They're going till April 6th, and many of our members are involved with West Coast Black Theater in many ways. Second is reminding you that at Art Center Sarasota, exhibition up through April 19th features Gail Fulton Ross, her exhibition, powerful exhibition. Check that out. That's free. And as well as the cover is Clifford McDonald, if you can see this here, but he's got a piece there, and a few more other artists of color are involved this month at the Art Center Sarasota, so check out that work as well. Film Festival is starting April 4th. They got a few films of people of color, including Maurice Dawsey and Michael Kinsey. Michael Kinsey's got a film that will be featured, I think 2 parts. It's called Gloria 19. But it's interesting this year, the film festival has a little controversy surrounding it. One, they have a brochure, you know, their program features a stylized map of Florida, and then on the side they also show Canada as the 51st state. And they pissed off a lot of people, excuse my language, but, and they claim it was sarcasm, so they're having to fight that right now. Plus, they're using New College of Florida as one of the venues. Oh, and that has really ticked off a lot of people and threatening a boycott. So it's going to be exciting film festival this season, so if you get a chance to check it out, please do. There's a few other films by producers and filmmakers of color that are involved as well, and I'll try to get a list to Jada where she'll send those around to you. Van Wezel, Suncoast Black Arts Collaborative, led by the legendary Michelle Redwine. First, there's an exhibition currently at the Sarasota Opera House. It's open to the public during hours the box office is open, featuring a beautiful gentleman who is an artist of color named Dominic Avot. He has 10 pieces upstairs in their Selby Gallery, Selby Room, but it's beautiful to check out. He's also an artist who was commissioned by Samara Joy, the jazz vocalist, to do her album cover. So he's a local Bradenton artist, but he's internationally known, so definitely check his work out. Van Wezel is the next venue that Michelle's group is putting on. We're using the lobby at the Van Wezel, kicking off April 2nd, featuring 2 artists of color, 2 ladies. Jeanette Bradley, some of you may remember her or know her, tremendous artist, and a woman named Shannon Elise, 2 women artists of color, black women who will be showing their work. Starting April 2nd, and that happens to be the night that Branford Marsalis plays at the Van Wezel. So we're coupling the art exhibition following a performance with Branford Marsalis. That exhibition will be up until the 28th of April. It will also include, I think the Commodores are coming in on the 14th, if you're into the Commodores, you remember them. Harold does that.
Yeah.
Let's see, Jazz Festival still going. Last night is tonight. There's a few seats left. Marcus Miller is the performer, and the president of the Sarasota Jazz Club is a gentleman named Nick Walker. He's also an ASALH member as well, so that's why we mentioned the Jazz club, and and that pretty much does it. And for your entertainment pleasure, and thank you for putting up with me.
Thanks, Paul. I was there. Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was a wonderful evening with hors d'oeuvres and very fancy. Okay. Okay, so where are we now? Anything else? Good, good. I just would like to thank Bob Catano and Jimmy Copeland, who's working on our strategic plan. These guys have gotten beautiful charts and arrows and wording, very succinct. It's going to take us to the next level. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because it's the work that they do that will make a difference in our trajectory going forward. And so just give these guys a round of applause because they are. And we're going to use this. We're going to use this and make a major presentation to one of our largest funders. And he wants to see this plan. So they're doing a great job, and hopefully it will, generate a lot of benefits for the association. So thank you guys again so much. Anyone here, any news updates, Jennifer, on Freedom School you'd like to share? Okay, we don't have any updates, so we'll be back at you through the newsletter as soon as we get caught up there. Oh, yeah. No, we don't want to do that. No. Bill Woodson, this would be a perfect time to discuss the new business. The Budget and Finance Committee does not have additional report. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi.
This is one of my favorite rooms to be in, I tell you. This is great. I did not have prepared comments, but I did see the new business item, and I wanted to share a little bit with you. And I have a thought. It's kind of a real-time thought, but, you have some extra time in the calendar. And so we have been doing something for the last couple of years called Conversations Across the Aisle. There's several people here in the room who had a chance to be at our Monday's program. It's a space where we try to create an opportunity for people of different political ideologies to come together and talk, not yell at each other, not shout at each other, not call each other names, but actually invest more deeply in the issues of the day and try to learn from each other. Okay, you think differently from me, but how did you get there? And we have a different theme every time. The Monday's meeting was our 5th. And for the future, we are looking at trying to create similar spaces using some of the same tools and approaches to creating conversation in different spaces and to collaborate with different organizations. Now, I think one challenge, which I have gotten good feedback, and we like feedback because we're trying to make this better every time, is that we really have to have diverse voices in the room. We want to have both sides in the room. I suspect that ASALH may not be the best space to get a diversity of perspective in terms of left versus right, but I think a way of maybe approaching that, engaging that, would be to do something and collaborate with maybe a different community. I'm thinking perhaps, some of you may know Tom Pfaff of the Sarasota Ministerial Commission. That would probably be a good fishing ground for other perspectives, and there may be an opportunity to find a topic that would be of mutual interest. And so I am here to basically plant that seed to see if there's potentially interest in something like that, and I will be following up with Harold and with others to see if we can go further. But if that sounds of interest, maybe, I don't know, show of hands, nod of heads, if that may be of interest, maybe. Okay, very good. Well, that's really all I wanted to share. It's been going well. We had 60 people come out, and it's our best turnout ever, and we're really excited to continue those conversations. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Here's a question right here.
The conversation, hello, slow down, Bill. The organization is called Conversations Across the Aisle. We refer to it as the CATA Project, C-A-T-A for short. If you, for example, Google search on my last name, Woodson, and then CATA, C-A-T-A, you'll hit about 3 or 4 different articles that document what we've been doing, how we've been trying to do it. So I think WSLR has covered our story, as well as the Bradenton Times, and most recently we had an article in the Sarasota Herald Tribune as well. So you can learn more about it. And you can also, so they are not regularly scheduled meetings, and at this point they have all been held at the Academy at Glengarry, which is near the Best Buy on Tamiami Trail. But I'm hoping that we unniche from just that one location. And what to move forward, I would suggest reaching out to me. I can make sure that you all have my email address, and we will put you on our mailing list, and then you'll get notified when we have our next convening. Please. You know, that question is both charming and also has frequently been asked. Let me tell you, we had our first meeting October of 2023. We literally spent 9 months prior to October figuring out how to craft and curate a space where we would have authentic conversations, but also respectful conversations. Again, we're not perfect. We're still getting better every time, but I think we have found a good formula. One of the secret sauce ingredients, we do it over dinner. And we find that after you've fed somebody a nice meal and you've had a chance to chat with someone who you didn't know and find out, you talk about your kids and where you grew up, and then you sit down to talk about the issues, people seem to have a little more space to navigate those conversations in a respectful way. Thank you for the question. Please. We don't actually make them sign, but we do have a conversation. We do say, we are all going to do this, aren't we? Aren't we? And then that really does help as well. Yeah, but that is the covenant. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Harold.
Okay, thank you. I've been to 3 of those CATA meetings, and I'm really thrilled about the idea of people from different perspectives had weigh in on how they feel about the major issues facing us. And the conversations have been good, polite, I think, for the most part. It's been, and I was so proud, one of our ASALH members, some of them are always smarter than others. I never liked that part. Sherry Suggs gave a wonderful explanation about the cuts with the U.S. aid, and she explained that among those in attendance. It was fantastic. I believe, Sherry, you had worked for that agency? So she gave us some firsthand. So you have some people who are coming there with some thoughts, some ideas, and ready for some action. And that's, oh, by the way, I'm a member of the Sarasota Ministerial Association, so I am going to speak with Chaplain Tom relatively soon and see what his interests are along the lines, Bill. So I'll be getting back to you. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Brian.
Actually, Jennifer Joseph should be making this announcement.
Yeah.
Yes, come up, Jennifer. But she's been working so hard on this. And really, you couldn't tell by my singing this morning, but there are several of us here who are members of the West Coast Gulf Coast Community Choir.
And I'm a new member, thanks to Ray and Fran. And I've been learning this fascinating story about the Gulf Coast Community Choir. How many of you knew the Buchanans, Carol and Carol? And you knew that they were founders of Embracing Our Differences? Founders of the Kennedy King Dinner? Very involved with the West Coast Black Theater Troupe? Very involved with Florida Studio Theater? And as a result of them, the choir did 53 performances with Florida Studio Theater a few years ago. Just amazing, amazing. It's one thing to be involved with an organization. It's another thing to build a legacy and leave a legacy. And what an incredible legacy that these two individuals, Carol and Carol, Dr. Carol and his wife Carol, have left. And the Gulf Coast Community Choir was the first multiracial, multicultural choir in the area. And 25 years later, it's still going strong. And we're going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary on April the 27th at 4 p.m. at Trinity United Methodist Church. This is the only opportunity to support the 25th anniversary. There won't be another 25th anniversary. We need your support, your presence, and your financial support, because this is our only fundraiser, and we just turn right around and donate those funds to charitable organizations. So over the 25 years, we've donated to more than 35 charitable nonprofits in the area. And in addition, we sing at senior citizen centers, we sing in the lobby of the Westin Hotel at Christmas, and we do those, of course, for free. So that's a little word about this Gulf Coast Community Choir, which I've come to love in my short time with them. Invitation to you to be at the concert. Tickets are going fast, by the way.
I have tickets.
So if you don't move quickly, they will be sold out. It's just 400 in the seats. So
Let our members stand.
yes.
Come on, Judy.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Freedom School.
And the other is Billionaire Babies, which is teaching the little ones financial literacy. So those are our two charitable. So thanks, Fran, for putting me on the spot.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow, good work we're doing in the community. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, we're getting down to the main reason for us being here today, other than the general membership of ASALH. We have a moment in history that I'm about ready to turn the mic over. Or before I do that, anything else for the good of the order? Anything? Can I get a motion? Adjourn? Can't get a second? All in favor? Thank you very, very much. Okay, yeah, we're now ready for the moment in history. And if Corrine Richardson is leading the pack here, I see. Followed by the family, the historian, the daughter. Come on, everybody's here. This is good stuff.
Good morning. Good morning to ASALH, and good morning to my support team, the members of the church, some of them ASALH. My name is Henry Richardson. We were supposed to have a greeting by the pastor, but I think he stepped out. So I don't know. We're going to do 2 or 3 things this morning. Going to make up presentation. We're going to start with Wisdom is going to give you a brief history. I'm going to introduce my team. Okay. Then we're going to have a presentation that's going to be on the board. You're going to hear my voice, but it's been pre-recorded. After the presentation, we'll have a question and answer period based on what we're doing, why we're doing it, whatever questions you may have. After the question and answer period, we have put what we call boards in the back in the fellowship hall. Most of the presentation will be on those boards. We're going to flash some things on the screen that you won't have a chance to read anything but the headlines. But in the back, the details of the trial and all the other things that we're going to discuss and put on the screen up there, you'll be able to read in detail or take pictures of whatever you'd like to see. So right now, I'd like to introduce my team.
Hello, my name is Judith Williams, and I am in charge of the records, the legal records and documents.
I think most of you know me, but I'll stand. I'm Corrine Richardson. I'm always around. I'm on this committee. I've been working on obituaries for members from our church, as well as members from our community, okay, who might have been funeralized in our facility. I'm also working on pamphlets that we've used in the past for different occasions, as well as very interesting poems, some of which were written by members of our church and the community. And I think that's it. It's been a mammoth job, very interesting, because I've had an opportunity to read a lot of those obituaries who go back to, I believe, the 40s. And keep in mind that for a while, the obituaries had not been kept. So we, at the present time, you know, do get, we keep copies of those obituaries, and they are historic, okay? Very interesting.
Middle, I don't know why she's going to be shy today. That's my daughter, Tanya Richardson.
Hello, my name is Tanya Richardson. I am the offspring of Henry and Corrine Richardson. I am on the team, and I am the only one on the team who is, as of yet, not retired. I'm still working full-time. I am on the team, and I sort of see myself as a Swiss cheese hole filler. So if my dad should need, I'm an English teacher by trade, and so if we need spelling, if we need alphabetizing, if we need English things, I'm here. I also was able to work with some of the senior citizens of the congregation trying to get, okay, these pictures, all of these black and white pictures, do you know anybody in those pictures? Are you in those pictures? Yes. So it was very entertaining on so many levels. But it's the grassroots thing that helps us to get to where we need to go. And sometimes for me, that's the most wonderful part of this work. And I would like to, because I'm probably the only one here who can do it, I would like to thank my father for being the architect of this project. And this project started when he and my mom first moved down to this area. He's always been an artist. He's always been an athlete. He's always been somebody who is, I don't know, a trendsetter for me, the best father I could ever hope for.
what that's going to cost me. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Kind of a housekeeping thing. The bathroom's in the back, coming through the lobby. Also coming through the lobby, you will see some display cases. And then those display cases, maybe people you know have seen before, they're called our heroes. And heroes and sheroes. And we rotate that for people that have done things that we as a community and as a church are extremely proud of. What is in the back, we're going to have the display. We're going to have the churches. We're going to have when we were colored, and you'll see what we mean by that. Many people that have come out of this church have been the first to do things in this county and nationally. We have a section called The First, okay? And many people say, you can't forget our youth. We can't. I said, this is history. We're talking about history. You need to get our youth, so you'll find a display about our youth in the back, okay? And people have said, how big is this? As Tanya said, we started this many, many years ago, about 18 years ago. We have 29 volumes of information. Some volumes are 3 5-inch binders. That's how big a volume can be, or it can be as small as a 2-inch binder. We have a lot of information. So ask your questions, we'll try to answer them. And right now, we're going to go to the presentation.
And they were singing songs something like this. They say, you know we've come this far. See, y'all don't know the songs. Leaning on, say, leaning on the Lord. And you know we're trusting in His holy word. Oh, He never failed. He never failed me yet.
I think there needs to be an awareness, especially for generations that don't have any connection to that history, to understand how things became what they are, what's the legacy that makes a church what it is, and what's that link to the community. And so I thought it was very important for us to not only know our history, but be able to document it to whatever extent possible. Unfortunately, when I came, there wasn't very much documentation in place, and so that became a real source of I won't say frustration, but it just kind of encouraged me in terms of the need to try to make as many inroads as we could, because for a church as old as we are, there aren't a whole lot of people who, go back to the beginnings of the church. And so you got to go back as far as you can to document as much as you can.
The slide on the screen is something that the city of Sarasota, or the county of Sarasota, had never seen before: a black place of worship. This was the first Baptist church in Sarasota and the second church in Sarasota. There was one other church before this one by about 6 years, and then this church was built for African Americans. As you can see, there's a crowd there. There was always a crowd there because this was the only place of its size where African Americans could gather. A neighborhood was built around this church that was called Black Bottom to begin with, and then someone named us Overtown. So Overtown stuck, but 3 denominations were worshiping in this church. Of course, the Baptist, which is Bethlehem Baptist Church, the Holiness, and the Methodists. And they moved out eventually to start their own church, but this is the first African American place of worship in Sarasota. The second is what people are still talking about today, how the church was enlarged. The way they enlarged the church was they built a shell twice as long as the original church, twice as wide as the original church. And at the same time the shell was being built, they continued to have service on the inside. When the church was 90% complete, the shell was 90% complete, they tore down the inside and kept right on having service because they had no place else to have service. The third slide is a picture of that church after they had torn the original church out and moved it out of the shell, had completed the shell on the inside. And the reason that there's construction still in front of the church, they're trying to build or finish the steps that lead into the church. The next slide depicts what some people are still calling a miracle. This is years later when they had run out of room again because of how fast Overtown was growing and the black community was growing. They jacked or elevated the church and built a basement. And you know what they say about building a basement in Florida with its water level. But they hired an engineer from New York subway system to come to Florida, show them how to elevate that church, build a basement, and the basement was used mainly for Sunday school and other activities that the church had no room for. I put this slide in because it will give you an idea of what the church looked like on the inside. And as you note, all the men have on shirts and ties, and all the women have on hats. And if you didn't wear a hat or a suit, you weren't going to church. Also note that the windows are open because I don't think they had air conditioning back in that time. And so if you wanted to get some air in, you had to open those windows. The slide with the gentleman in the street. This is a picture of the church basement being completed and the church elevated to its new height. As you see, they have had to add new steps so that the people could get that 6 feet from the ground where it used to be and get in the church. And as you can see next door, you can see the side of the parsonage. And they were very, very proud of the way this whole thing turned out because it was very beneficial in getting them a whole lot more space. This is kind of a sad picture in that this is a church after it closed down. The congregation had weeks earlier moved to their new location on 18th Street in what was called Newtown. And this church sat for 2 years before they started the demolition. This picture depicts the demolition, the beginning of the demolition for the old church. And it looks similar to a slide that you see earlier where they were building and around the initial church, and this is when they were tearing down the old Bethlehem Baptist Church in Overtown. This picture depicts that the building is coming down and they have reached the level of where they had put the basement. And of course, the congregation had long now, for 2 years, been up at their new church in Newtown. This is the new church, the new Bethlehem. It was opened in 1973. Now, the old Bethlehem was still standing and stood for 2 years before it was demolished. But the people of Bethlehem had moved on to Overtown, and this church had a lot of things that the old church didn't have as far as niceties and roads and various other things. And the people loved this church. And but the congregations of the Holiness had moved out, started their own church, and the Methodists had moved out and started their own church. So it was kind of pure Baptist at that time. This is the first remodeling of the new church that was in Newtown. And they added, the biggest thing they added was the conference room, the pastor's office, new and larger and more modern bathrooms, a new entrance, and many other niceties that they didn't have in the older church. This is the present structure that you're sitting in right now. This is the present church, even with our new paint job from yellow to our new white. The picture on the screen depicts an advertisement for a program that's being held at Bethlehem in Overtown, our original church, okay? As you see from the date, this happened in October 5th, 1925. And we were trying to decide who we were, whether we were black, colored, or Negro. And as you see in the slide, we depicted ourselves as a colored Baptist church. And there was not a lot to do back in that day, but church services were one of the main things. And singing was loved not only by us, but as our white friends who we invited, and many of them came to the programs that we had in the old Bethlehem Baptist Church. This slide focuses on the top left, one of the documents going all the way back into the beginnings of the church. Our pastor, Lewis Colson, this document refers to him. And as you see, we were referred to as the Negro Missionary Baptist Church of the USA. This document is where we had paid off a loan, and the reason it's up there is we were referred to as the former Colored Missionary Baptist Church. And one of the things, or good things about that, we had a reputation for paying our bills. We borrowed money, we were paying it off on time or ahead of time. This one is where we borrowed the money, and we borrowed $3,500. And whether it was for an expansion or whatever, I don't exactly know what this money was used for, but what can you buy today for $3,500? And again, we're referred to as formerly the Colored Church, Bethlehem Baptist Church. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember this book. It's called the Green Book. And as it depicts on the screen, it's for the colored or Negro or black people that were traveling around the country. It told you where you could stay and where you better not stop, okay? And if you wanted to eat, or go to the bathroom or wanted to just stop and relax, there were certain places you could do that throughout the South and certain places you couldn't. I personally am a person that has used the Green Book many times, especially when I was in college and we were traveling with the baseball team. Here's one of our favorite famous people, as I like to say, Mary McLeod Bethune. She came to see us several times. I have a picture of her when we were in Overtown, standing in the lobby. There were people, women at our church that she was friends with. And she would come over and make speeches to our kids and to our ladies. And she was very loved and respected in our church. This is our former governor and senator, Bob Graham. And he's with Reverend Daly, one of our former pastors. And for some reason, he liked to come and visit us. And I really don't know what they're working on, but he was always a man that had to give you good counsel and support. Now, this is one of the favorite pictures of our kids. As you see on the screen, two of our heroes. Don King, the boxing promoter, probably one of the most famous boxing promoters in the world, and Al Sharpston, the Reverend Al Sharpston. They were in town for the Howard Luncheon, and they gave our kids an opportunity to sit down and talk and take pictures with them, and our kids went goo-goo over this. They loved Don King, without question, because of his fancy outfits and the way he talks and his style, and they loved Al Sharpton too, but he was a little less talkative, but giving a lot of advice and encouragement to our children and our youth. Mr. Morgan & Morgan, the largest law firm in the world, I hear. And he's been here several times politicking. And Mr. Morgan is also considering, I hear, a third party because he's ready to jump back into politics again. Very nice man. Charlie Chris, he was here, and as you see, he's walking down the aisle here in the church, and the people are just jumping up and shouting and giving him encouragement, and he went right down the aisle and hugging and kissing and going on, and they loved him. He was here more than once or twice. We have several pictures when he came to see us, and he was politic. He didn't win, but he won the hearts of our people. This picture is of Andrew Gillum, who at one point almost upset our present governor in the first election that they had against each other. He lost by a very small margin. And he was the mayor of Tallahassee, the first person of color that was the mayor of Tallahassee. And he was a friend of our pastor. That's our pastor, Reverend Miller, standing next to him. They like to brag about the fact that they went to Florida A&M University. And they are extremely proud of that. And we're proud of Florida A&M University too. And we're also proud of both of these gentlemen that are on the screen.
Never could have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see how you were there for me.
The picture on the screen is supposed to be a picture of our founder, Lewis Colson, and his wife, Irene, okay? You will find this picture on buildings downtown depicting the founder of Bethlehem Baptist Church and the black community at that time. The church is, of course, proud of the fact that the Colsons were getting this kind of recognition. Our only concern is, are these the real Colsons? The reason that we have our concerns is history says, and with our people being able to go back in history and track the families all the way back to slavery time and beyond slavery and back to Africa, we have not been able to find the connection between this picture and the fact that history says that both of the Colsons were mulattoes. We have tracked their family, and all of the people that we have found in their family that is direct descendants of the Colsons are light-skinned people. We don't know where to go from here as far as being able to say for sure that this is the Colsons. We would like to be able to say whatever picture we find that we can support with facts that this is a picture of our founder, the Colsons. Mrs. Colson was supposed to be, according to her family, the ones that knew her, okay? She has grandchildren that remember Grandma, okay? And they said she was short and stout, and she would only wear her hair one way. That was in a big plait down her back. By the way, she was a lady that helped deliver half of the black people in Newtown at that time. She was a midwife. Mr. Colson was a big, tall, according to the records, handsome, strong man. In fact, he was the man that they said that drove the stake that downtown at 5 Points that laid out the city of Sarasota. M.E. Booker, an outstanding lady. She's a lady on the left. She's an educator, and her name is on all 3 of the schools in the African American community here in Sarasota. The elementary school is Elementary Booker, the middle school is Booker, and the high school is Booker High. And she came here when the education for black Americans only went to the 4th grade. And she was driving here initially from St. Petersburg. She taught and then eventually became the principal of the school. And they didn't have a black school back then. They were renting space for black students so they could learn. She worked hard. She continued to go to school. She got her degree, and unfortunately, it was just 2 years before she passed in 1939. James Brown. James Brown, a friend of mine, served on the board of trustees and served on the board of many things at Bethlehem Baptist Church. He was an educator at many levels. He was an educator in high school, and he was an educator at the college level, and he was also an historian. And he also held many other positions in the black community throughout Sarasota. Carolyn Mason, a young lady that was born and raised in the Bethlehem Baptist Church, worked hard, studied hard, and rose to the rank of the first African American county commissioner. And we're proud of all the things and accomplishments she was able to do here in this city. Gregory Jackson, born and raised in this church, worked for the post office and was exceptional in the job that he did. but he just couldn't get promoted to some of the positions that he thought that he had earned. So he went south to Port Richey, and there they made him the head of the department. And Sarasota learned of his success down there and offered him an opportunity to come home. So he came here as the postmaster general and worked in the post office for over 40 years. And he's a brother of Miss Eileen West. And she's very proud of that because she talks about him all the time. Miss Dorothy Smith, one of the most outstanding women that I have ever met in my lifetime. She could do everything. When you get a chance to see her resume, you will understand why I am so high on her. She came to this town when she was 20 years old to teach. She became principal. She became teacher of the year. She got every award a woman or man could possibly get from every organization in this town. And she earned it, and she got me started. She was an historian. I'm a gatherer. She was an historian. I used to go over and sit on her floor, and she would teach me how to get information, what information was important, and how I should put it back together. I owe everything that I am to Miss Smith. Aaron Walton. Aaron Walton is a person that I take my hat off to. And one of the reasons I take my hat off to, I retired from a corporation that I worked for 35 years and came to Florida to play golf and to fish. Aaron Walton retired from a Fortune 500 company also and came to Florida to play golf. I don't know about fishing, but he came to play golf and to relax. He got a call from one of the boards that he worked on, a university board, Cheney University in Pennsylvania. This man gave up his retirement and went back to Cheney and became its president. To this day, he is still president of Cheney. Now, we haven't gotten the fact that he sits on the board of directors here at Bethlehem, and he comes here every possible time and owns a home here. And we love him and would look forward to the day that he would retire again and come back to us here at Bethlehem Baptist Church. He is sorely missed.
First Black to integrate elementary school, 1962 to 1963. Frankie Davis Dawkins began her education studies at an early age by attending Brody Nursery School for 3 years. Then she became among the students at Amaryllis Park Primary School and then attended Booker Elementary School. In September 1962, Mr. and Mrs. Frank Davis enrolled Frankie into an all-white school. Frankie was the first Black student into an all-white Bay Haven Elementary School.
This young lady is a young lady almost that I have admiration for as Miss Smith, because she did something that I think I could never do. She broke the color line in education here in the city of Sarasota. As you may or may not recall, Florida would not integrate when the rest of the nation integrated schools. And the reason that they said here in Sarasota is because the African Americans would hold the white back because they couldn't keep up. They were at least 2 years behind. And after the federal government cut the funding off and said either you integrate or you get no more money, they decided to integrate. And the way they did it here in Sarasota was to give us 2 students and we will send them over to Bay Haven, which was one of our better schools in Sarasota at that time, and we'll see how they do. Well, this young lady and another young lady, which I can't recall her name, was selected to go over and be the two students that would integrate Bayhaven. Well, there's a newspaper article that you will see in the lobby where it was in the paper the day before they were supposed to arrive. And of course, that gave everybody that didn't want them at Bayhaven a chance to be standing at Bayhaven at the entrance, waiting for them to show up. Well, the other young lady's parents said, we can't do this. And they told that young lady that, that you don't have to go. But Frankie Dawkins' mother said, you're going. You have to go by yourself. So that next day, Frankie entered Bayhaven. And Frankie was in class at the back of the room with two ladies standing on each side of her with a space between her and the last chair in the room by herself. And when class started, the first subject was English. And every time the teacher would ask a question, Frankie's hand would go up. And Frankie knew the answer. They switched to math. Every time the lady would ask a question, the hand went up. And Frankie would ask the question. Everybody in the class would turn around and be looking at Frankie. I met a man that owns a business here in Sarasota who was in that class. And he says, Henry, she was the smartest person that any of us in the class had ever seen. The next day, the other young lady got her courage up and she came to class. And she was smarter than Frankie. So the myth that the black kids could not keep up was dead forever. Well, with all the things we've talked about this morning, there's one thing that I should admit. Things weren't always rosy around Bethlehem Baptist Church. And what I'm about to show you now will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. After we had moved from Overtown to Newtown and had hired a new pastor here at Bethlehem, back in the 70s, the late 70s, things kind of got turned around. They started calling us the Battling Baptists.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all. Look out. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Listen to me. Oh, wow. I despise. 'Cause it means destruction of innocent lives.
The headlines will speak for themselves. The people took over the church. They slept in there overnight. They tried to change the locks so he couldn't get in. He called the police. The police came. The members said, look, we founded this church. We built this church. We hired him, and we can fire him.
Everybody thinks we're wrong. Mother, who are they to judge us? Mother, simply call us sweet, wear our hair long. Mother, ooh.
The letter on the screen is the final letter that we wrote the pastor, Mr. Rupert Paul, after he had lost and Bethlehem as a church had won. this is kind of our eviction letter that, sir, you have to leave town, you have to get out of the parsonage, and this is the time that we want you out.
Hallelujah, when I lay burden down, Lord, burden down, Lord, when I lay my burden down, Lord, burden down, Lord, when I lay my burden down. No more crying, no more groaning, when I lay my burden down. No more crying, when I lay my burden down.
Are there any questions? Okay. Excuse me? Thank you. Well, we're fortunate enough to have a young man in the back standing with his father, Caleb Williams. His father's assistant pastor here, and he's the one that told me what to say and how to say it. I had no idea what the music was going to be like, but I like the music too. Okay. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reverend Rupert was that's what they called him by his first name. I think just to make him mad by his last name. Reverend Rupert. And he was a dictator. It was his way or the highway. And he was not aware of the group of tough people that he had run into. And he did certain things, like he got hold of the money and said, if they can't pay the rent on that new building, okay, I'll be in control. Well, what they did was they pooled their money and paid their bills without the benefit of getting the main amount of money that was here at the church. They paid their bills. The people here knew them and knew that they were good for paying their bills, as you heard early in the thing, that one of the things that we would do, we pay ahead of time, okay? And the judge, as you will be able to read in the back, said, I'm going to put this thing to a vote. I went to trial. I'm going to put this thing to a vote. They put it to a vote, and the vote was so lopsided that Reverend Rupert started leaving even before the vote was over. I still have his ballot that he filled out. So it was mainly because they didn't want to have this man come in and change everything to his way. And they found out later that he had a reputation that they weren't aware of before he came here, and that made them more on guard for what he would do and wouldn't do. Yes? I'm sorry. I don't know, because he was a minister and moved around to many places. I don't know where he was really from, to be honest. Yes? Excuse me? Which Holiness Church? What? Right. The Payne Chapel was the Methodist church. They were the first church that left the main Bethlehem and built their own, and In 1927, a hurricane came through, blew that building down. They moved back into Bethlehem and alternated Sundays with Bethlehem. They moved back to where they had just left from years earlier, okay? And when I say holiness church, sometimes some of the holiness started this church and some of the holiness started that church, okay? Not really, not really. It's probably back there in that room, but I read as much as I can, but yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. It was a few blocks from Bethlehem, okay? And the church that they built is still there, but I think a contractor is using it now. But as you know, the new Payne Chapel is it Central Avenue? Yes. Yes. Thank you. She is bad as my daughter. How much I owe you now? Yes, sir.
And those two girls went to school. We had a similar experience in Arlington, Virginia, when the white legislators for the state of Virginia saying that they didn't want the blood to mix, and therefore schools shall be segregated. And you know, Brown versus the board was 54. It was 64 before they actually segregated. But what they did, they took 4 students who were black and marshaled them into the all-white school. They did fabulously well. And to see that what we had to endure, and you know, you would think it would suppress our energy, and no, not at all. Almost everyone at that school succeeded and did exceedingly well. So I just wanted to kind of share my personal feelings. That's all.
Time really doesn't change a lot of things. And the reason I say that, my daughter teaches at Suncoast Polytechnical. And when they opened the school, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 people of color that got into the school. And when they had the graduation, they had 5 categories for people that are starred and a this and a that, that depicted how well you did above the rest of the students. And a young man from this church got all 5 stars. It is my understanding that no one has gotten all 5 stars since then. His name is Anthony Freeman. So things haven't changed a whole lot in that regard. Are there any more questions? Well, we have a chart in the back with the first African Americans that did something here in Sarasota. Some of it is just not Sarasota and Florida, some of it's nationally, okay? And we've tried to depict that on that chart. If you read those charts back there, you can get some information about what some of the people from this church have done on certain levels. We're very proud of that, and that's why we display it. Yes.
I just have a comment. I am here because I'm a member of the church, and I was here to support what you guys were doing today. And I just want to thank you all. But you say that you're a teacher and whatnot, so I'm sure you run across students all the time, and you have to recognize something in that student. And I thank you for that, because myself as a single parent, I'm not as, let's say, smart as, let's say, but I have a daughter who was really, really smart. And I took her to school one day. She must have been like in 1st grade. And I said to the teacher, my daughter can read. And she said, your daughter can't possibly read. And I was like, well, yes, she can. So she gave her a book. And because I'm the type of parent, I'm from New York, and I taught my daughter how to read with what they call with emphasis, paying attention to the punctuations and such. And my daughter read. And so therefore they had her tested, and she was put into all these different accelerated courses and stuff. Well, they moved her out to Fruitville, and she thrived. She was put into, like I said, all these different courses, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I have here? And she was picked up by the state and whatnot. So she did end up with ASALH. She was put into some kind of program with you guys and stuff. And she ended up winning some kind of award with you guys. And we went to a dinner and all kinds of things. And she got a plaque, and she was in a book. And I was like, ooh. So I just sat there as a parent, like I say, who's really not that, And I was like, ooh, what do I have here? So she's really gone. She went on to go to college. She did a year in Baltimore. I'm like, ooh, And then she came back to Florida. She went to University of West Florida, where she graduated number 2 in her college class. She gave a speech and whatnot, and my sister and I drove up, and we had like air horns and stuff, and we were like, so she's really gone on to do like all kinds of stuff in this county, like you say in Sarasota. She's a Booker graduate and whatnot, with Booker High, and I was like, ooh. So she's gone on to really do marvelous things. She's in South Carolina right now, where she's doing things there again, and I'm like, ooh, but I keep telling her, you're going to do great things. And I always said to her, you're going to do great things. You're going to do great things. But I'm like, I'm glad to be here to thank you all for what you did with my daughter.
And it all comes back around to the mother that gave her all of that oomph.
But thank you all for what you exposed her to, and the award. And I'll never forget the ceremony. It was at Michael's on East, and it was a big deal. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
it's working. When we look at our kids, we can come up with examples like that, and it warms my heart to hear her stand up and say that. We had a young man here that did extremely well in high school, but could not get into the colleges that we felt that he deserved to be in. He tried for Harvard, he tried for Yale, he tried for Princeton, he tried for, and he would always just couldn't make that last cut. I didn't know anything about cuts then. Now some of them have 3 cuts, and the last cut they bring in the international students, and then they're smarter than any human being in the world. The ones that I ran up against in college, anyway. But he said, Mr. Richardson, if I could just get a chance, I think I could do well. So we had a person here that was working with me. I worked with boys here for 16 years, and he was one of the people that helped me. He said, I sit on the board of Villanova, and I will try to get him an interview. But Henry, it's tough. He's competing against the world. I'm not in Sarasota, but can he leave Sarasota and compete with the world? Give him a chance. He got the interview. Now, they give hundreds, I don't know about thousands, of scholarships, but they give 25 presidential scholarships. 25. In his interview, he came back, and I said, how did you do, boy? He said, Mr. Richardson, I got a presidential scholarship. So we're real proud of our kids. Any more questions? I think we do. I think we do. I think we do.
Well, my goodness, let's give him another round of applause. Man, I didn't know I was coming to church. But we in church now. God, just... Okay. Thank you to the mom. Yes, yes. So any overarching questions, final statements that anyone want to make right now? Are we about... Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so where do we go from here? Okay. Okay, in an orderly fashion, ladies and gentlemen, as you would tell the children, stand in line and make sure you don't push. Thank you so very much. Wow, man, thank you so much. Ooh, powerful. Yeah.